On this series, we've explored some of the world's most mysterious photographs, and this episode is no different. Today, we will look at 5 more photos that defy logic and promise to haunt the imagination. Starting with the mysterious origins of the first man ever captured on film, we'll trace our way through the unexplained, like the unsettling image of a man with an axe on a boat, and the legend of the mummy rumored to be John Wilkes Booth. Then, we'll look into a haunting sketch of the elusive killer known as Mr. Cruel, before closing on the baffling Naga Fireballs, an unexplained phenomenon that lights up the Mekong River. Each photo holds secrets, clues, and questions that remain unsolved to this day. Let's dive in and see where these photos take us on episode 117, 5 Mysterious Photos That Cannot Be Explained, Part 5. In 1838, along the bustling Boulevard du Temple in Paris, an anonymous man paused for a quiet moment to get his shoes shined. Little did he know that this simple, unremarkable act would forever immortalize him in history. Captured by Louis Daguerre in the earliest known photograph to feature a human figure, this man, whose name and story we'll likely never know, stands out as a clear silhouette against the background of a Parisian street. He's forever frozen in time, an ordinary passerby who by chance became a part of something extraordinary. To be included in this image, he had to hold perfectly still for nearly 7 minutes, the duration necessary for Daguerre's innovative process to record and develop the photograph. Meanwhile, others in the scene moved too quickly to be fully recorded in the exposure. The shoeshine boy who worked at his feet is only a faint blur, and the bustling street behind them, filled with carriages, people, and the daily activity of Paris, is mostly lost to the motion of the subjects. However, closer inspection of the photo reveals hints of some that remain: an impression of a child's face in a distant window, what might be a dog across the street, and perhaps even a faint outline of 2 women and a cart. But it's this man that's standing calmly with one foot propped on the shoeshine kit, who has unknowingly become a focal point in this landmark image. Who was he? Maybe he was on his way to work, possibly wasting time before meeting a friend, or simply enjoying a stroll. When you can come to terms with never knowing who he was, his intentions, his thoughts, or his life story, he becomes more than just a figure in a photograph. He's a connection to a world long gone, a witness to the birth of photography itself. It started with a seemingly ordinary job, a dock worker snapping photos of an old military frigate set for decommissioning. But what he captured has left people questioning what, or who, might still linger on board. The man who shared the eerie image described how the vessel had been stripped of its sensitive equipment and left open for dock workers to prepare for scrap. The foreman, a man by the name of John, was the first to board, documenting areas with a camera as he moved through the ship's dark, hollowed corridors. Later, John sent the photos to his boss, but one of them raised immediate alarm. His boss called John asking, "Who's the guy with the axe in the photo?" Confused, John explained that he hadn't seen anyone else on board, and with only one secured entry point, a gangway watched by CCTV, no one else should have been there. Due to the vessel's military history, the police were called to investigate. They combed the ship from end to end but found no trace of any intruder. There was no evidence of forced entry or any sign of a stowaway, and CCTV showed no movement on or off the vessel. Curiosity took hold online, where users examined the photo. After users began editing the photo to get a better look at what was hiding in the shadows, they revealed a haunting figure, seemingly clutching an axe, appearing to be looking around a corner. The mysterious figure has left an impression with those that have seen the photo. It's a good reminder that even the most deserted places might not be empty after all. In 1877, Texas lawyer Finis L. Bates was called to the bedside of a dying man by the name of John St. Helen, who whispered a shocking confession: "I am John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of President Lincoln." St. Helen claimed he had escaped the manhunt after Lincoln's assassination, asserting that the man who died in a Virginia tobacco barn was not Booth, but someone else. Bates kept St. Helen's confession private until 25 years later, when a headline in a Memphis newspaper caught his attention. A drifter named David E. George had been found dead in an Oklahoma hotel room after taking arsenic, claiming to be John Wilkes Booth as his last words. Bates recognized George from a photograph. It was John St. Helen. Intrigued, Bates traveled to Oklahoma to find George's embalmed body displayed in a mortuary. Convinced it could be Booth, Bates published a book in 1907 detailing St. Helen's account and gained custody of the body, which he leased to carnivals as the mummy of John Wilkes Booth. This bizarre attraction was plagued with misfortune. Showmen exhibiting the mummy faced financial ruin, and in 1920, a circus train carrying it wrecked, killing 8 people. At one point in time, the mummy was even kidnapped for ransom, and Union veterans threatened to steal it, vowing to kill Booth again. After Bates died, his widow sold the mummy to showman William Evans, who displayed it with a sign proclaiming, "See the man who murdered Lincoln." Despite efforts to revive its tours, Evans faced fines for teaching false history. In 1930, carnival owner John Harkin purchased the mummy, offering $1,000 to anyone who could prove it wasn't Booth. No one collected, but skeptics remained. A group of doctors examined the mummy in 1931, claiming it bore injuries consistent with Booth's. By the late 1970s, it disappeared, possibly into a private collection. The mystery of Booth's death persists, with some family members advocating for exhuming his grave for DNA testing, requests denied by the courts, leaving the story of the mummy as one of America's strangest unsolved tales. In the shadows of Melbourne during the late 1980s and early 1990s, a figure known only as Mr. Cruel instilled terror in the community. This moniker, originating from a newspaper headline from The Sun, embodies the chilling nature of his crimes. Mr. Cruel is linked to the attacks on 3 young girls and is the prime suspect in the abduction and murder of a 4th victim, Carmine Chan, in 1991. Despite extensive investigations, he remains unidentified, leaving the cases surrounding his confirmed attacks and suspected murder unsolved. Authorities have offered a reward of $200,000 for information about the abductions, increased to $1 million in 2016, equivalent to approximately $130,000 and $657,000 US respectively. Described as highly intelligent, Mr. Cruel meticulously planned each attack, conducting surveillance on his victims and their families while leaving no forensic traces. He covered his face, used clever tactics to divert attention, and exhibited a disarming demeanor, often taking breaks to eat during the assaults. However, the police sketch is a terrifying image created from descriptions provided by his victims. The terror began on August 22, 1987, in Lower Plenty, where he broke into a home, armed with a knife and handgun, and tied up the parents, leaving their young daughter vulnerable. On December 27, 1988, in Ringwood, he abducted a 10-year-old girl after binding her parents, releasing her 18 hours later. The third confirmed attack occurred on July 3, 1990, in Canterbury, where he subjected a 13-year-old girl to a 50-hour ordeal before releasing her. Investigators believe Mr. Cruel may have recorded his crimes. Victims described being leashed to a bed, and some noted hearing planes during their captivity, leading police to theorize that the house may have been near a flight path to Melbourne Airport. In May 1991, the Spectrum Task Force was established to apprehend Mr. Cruel, conducting extensive searches and interviews, and spending $3.8 million Australian dollars, or $2.5 million US. Despite their efforts, by January 1994, the task force was disbanded, leaving this unforgettable police sketch of Mr. Cruel as a chilling reminder of the crimes that the community still deals with to this day. Each year, the Mekong River becomes the stage for a captivating phenomenon known as the Naga Fireballs. These glowing orbs, sometimes called Mekong lights, are said to rise naturally from the river's depths, enchanting both locals and visitors. Described as reddish and varying in size, from tiny sparkles to basketballs, the fireballs soar hundreds of meters into the night sky before vanishing. Reports indicate that anywhere from a few dozen to several thousand fireballs can be seen in a single night, typically around Wan Ok Phansa, marking the end of Buddhist Lent in late October. Most frequently observed in a 250-kilometer stretch of the Mekong River near Phon Phisai, Naga fireballs have also been spotted rising from smaller rivers and lakes in the region. Until the mid-1980s, locals referred to these lights as ghost lights, but the official renaming to Faya Nak lights added cultural significance to the event. Despite their allure, skeptics have emerged. A 2002 documentary revealed that Lao soldiers fired tracer rounds into the sky during the festival. Skeptic Brian Dunning argued that it would be difficult for spectators across the river to hear the gunshots in time to react to the lights, suggesting flare guns could explain the phenomenon. This theory gained traction when Thai biologist Jasada Denduang Boripant analyzed footage and reached a similar conclusion. Scientific explanations have also been proposed. One theory suggests the fireballs result from flammable phosphine gas generated in the marshy environment. Another hypothesis proposes that they are free-floating plasma orbs created by surface electricity discharges. As the Naga fireballs continue to mystify, they remain a cherished part of local folklore, embodying the intersection of culture, belief, and the allure of the unknown. Whether seen as supernatural or scientifically explainable, they leave a lasting impression on those who witness them with their own eyes. As we wrap up Part 5 of our series of mysterious photos that cannot be explained, we've looked through some of the most puzzling images that continue to intrigue and confound us. From the anonymous figure in the first photograph ever captured to the chilling police sketch of Mr. Cruel, each of these photos tells a story filled with mystery. Each of these images invites us to explore the stories they hold and the questions they leave unanswered. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fireside Unsolved. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time, take it easy and be easy, you filthy bastards.